Okay, so here's my game. This is gonna be the ground for my pixel game. It's gonna be like a top-down game, so this is like where the player walks, you like walk up, down, left, and right, and stuff. But then I was playing Minecraft, and then I was looking at all the settings. I was changing all the graphics and stuff, and there's a setting where called like realistic textures or something like that. But what it does is it basically takes each texture and it rotates like 90 degrees or 100, or it rotates every single texture a random amount. So it'll rotate like 90 degrees or 180 or 270. So each one, there's 4 different orientations. So that, see how you can tell it's like a grid pattern? So, so when you play Minecraft, I don't know if it's just the grass, or if it's like grass and dirt and gravel and stone and stuff, but I'm pretty sure, I know for grass, if you have this option on, what it does is, when you look at grass, you won't be able to see like a grid pattern. I see how with this I have 9 different blocks and it's like a perfect grid. You can see like different repeating patterns. So what I did was, I made so when you start the game, it'll randomly rotate them, so watch. And you'll see it perfectly hides the grid pattern. See, now this just looks like some random texture. I think you can kind of see the grid because I tried to make it like tiles by making each texture, like see this part, how it's like lighter and then lighter here, but then it's darker here and darker here. So it's like, I try to make it a tile. But trust me, if you have a random texture, it will blend in way better. So then, here's how I did it. And I'm using visual scripting, so I don't know how to code, but I basically made, so on start, what it does is I used this one, so it just gets a random range. So it gets a random number 0 to 3 for each orientation. So 0 is right side up, 1 is rotated 90 degrees, 2 is rotated 180 degrees, and 3 is rotated 270 degrees. Then what I did was, what it does is it rounds the number so that you don't get like 1.47. It's either 0, 1, 2, or 3. It rounds away from 0, so these, it doesn't really matter which one you do. So I just did the default. So floor is where if the number is 1.74, it'll just round it to 1. Ceiling is if the number is 1.74, it'll round it to 2. And away from 0 is if it's above 1.5, let's say it's 1.23, it rounds that to 1. If it's 1.74, it'll round that to 2. So I just did away from 0, because it's the default. So it gets the number, it rounds it, so it ends up with a random number 0 through 3. Then what it does is, it multiplies that by 90. So you either end up with a random number, so what it is either 0, 90, 180, or 270. Then what it does is, it sets the rotation. You have to create a new quaternion with the XYZ version. Don't use XYZW, just use XYZ. And it should not show up at first, so you have to search for it. Just type in quaternion, or just type in quaternion, like the first 3 characters of it, and it'll say quaternion XYZ. Then connect it to Z, because you want it to rotate each one on the Z axis. Then connect it to set rotation, and I left it on this because the script is attached as a component to each one of these. I just did this one and then just duplicated it a bunch of times. And then what it does is, you don't really have to do these, but I did. What I did was, after it sets the rotation, so it rotates them, it sets the object as static, which is, so up here, you click on static, and what that does is, it stops sending, it does something like this. I don't know if it's exactly what I'm going to say, but it does something like, it stops telling, the CPU stops telling the GPU every single frame what the position and rotation is of every single object, in case it has to be moved anywhere during the game. So if something's set as static, that means it can't move. So let's say I set something as static, then I play the game and I try to move it during runtime in the Unity editor. It won't move, like this thing will move, the transform will move, like the green, red, and blue thing, but the object will stay still. That's what, if it says static, and when stuff is set as static, it's really good for performance. Like if you set everything not as static, it'll cause your game to run at worse FPS. So what I did was I used game object set static, this, and I checked this, so it means it sets the object as static, and then for performance reasons, it destroys the component, which is this entire script. Since it's not needed anymore, it doesn't need to be in the hierarchy or in the game anywhere. So for performance reasons, it just fully deletes it. So that's why if I click on any one of these, so I just click on stone floor, which is the center one, and then I go to right here, see how we have script machine. If I play the game, you'll see script machine is going to disappear. See, it disappeared, and up here it's set as static now. See how all these are rotated here to a random amount. And then see how it's set as static. If I stop the game, it sets it as non-static again. And once again, here is the entire script. You have start, choose a random number 0 through 3, round the number, so it's 0, 1, 2, or 3, multiply it by 90, then create a quaternion XYZ, then and set this number as the Z, then set rotation, so it sets the object to the random number, which is the random number we got here. Then once all that's done, it sets the game object, the entire game object as static, and then destroys the script component since it's not needed anymore. And then I did that for this one, and then for the first one, and I just duplicated it, so there's 9. And now every single time I start my game, it creates a new random floor. So if you make like objects spawn in when you're walking, like dirt or grass or something, you could do this so that it's random for every single object. And it does it at the start, which means it's not going to be bad for performance, since when the scene starts, that just means it'll take a little bit longer for the scene to load. And yeah, that's how you do it.